We have another escalation in the economic warfare that President Donald J. Trump is waging against China. The U.S. doubling down in export controls against China. We're going to get into that and more today. We're also going to talk about Marco Rubio's statement on X that the U.S. State Department is going to aggressively start deporting Chinese national students at our higher institutions of learning, start deporting them, getting them out of the country, and is going to heavily scrutinize the visas of future Chinese and students from Hong Kong coming into the country. Very unfortunate news. But first, if you have a moment, please hit the like and subscribe button down below. RubenTek, where we meet at the intersection of tech, politics, and finance. The message we're trying to get out is important. People got to know about this stuff. It's just absolutely insane. It makes zero sense. First story, chip software stocks sink on report Trump ordered halt to China sales. Cadence and Synopsys saw their shares move lower on a Financial Times report saying Division of U.S. Commerce Department told them to stop selling to organizations in China. Now, we're very familiar with the division that warned them. It's called the BIS. Right here, the federal agency warned U.S. companies about using artificial intelligence chips from China's Huawei earlier this month. That's actually sloppy reporting on CNBC's part. They didn't warn just U.S. companies. They warned every company in the world, every individual in the world. So they're actually warning companies in China too. You might say, how can they enforce that? We've discussed this on this channel, but I'm just going to cover it again. If the Chinese exec was to leave and come to the West, as in the case of Ming, they could arrest them. And you say that'll never happen. Again, in the case of Ming, it happened. So don't say never. So as part of Making America Great, Cadence stock and Synopsys down 10 and 11% respectively. You might say, I thought they already had all the export controls on chips. These companies don't deal in actual chips. They deal in chip design, more of like IP. So it's just furthering the net of everything going to China. ARM was already sanctioned a while ago. Or sorry, not sanctioned. ARM was already given guidance a while ago. That is, Huawei had a perpetual license to use ARM v8A architecture. ARM is on v9 now, but we've seen that Huawei has been maximizing the heck out of this license, getting everything they can. Of course, they can't use anything like Cortex, a core design. They're just allowed to use this ISA they had through a perpetual license. But it is possible that other Chinese chip manufacturers are coming to Cadence and Synopsys. Very likely they were, right? Because these companies now have reported that they expect huge revenue decline from China. So again, they give IP, and now their IP is being restricted. All part of Making America Great again, making our companies worse. This, of course, was done because somebody around Trump said that these companies doing this strengthens China's military-industrial complex. Right after that, today we have this news. Marco Rubio says U.S. will begin revoking visas of Chinese students. On this channel, we've talked about the war against China that the U.S. has entered now on higher education, which is very unfortunate. Not that I'm in favor of the trade war, but you can understand it somewhat with China, the China hawks in Washington. It wasn't just Trump, it was also Biden. Biden never got rid of Trump 1's export controls, and he actually brought on the tariffs, 100% tariffs against BYD and other Chinese auto manufacturers. So it's on both sides of the aisles. So even though, on this channel, we are not in favor of it, yeah, at least you can say, yeah, I get it. Both sides of the aisle against this. But this makes zero sense. This is a literal brain drain. HR 881, we went over that in this channel. It's a bill that prevents American institutions of higher learning, i.e. colleges and universities, from working with their counterparts over in China on anything, not just things of national security, on anything. This is not an exaggeration when I would say it would prevent them from working together on art. Absolutely not. The way the bill is worded, and it's already passed the House and it's on its way to the Senate. We saw recently what happened at Harvard, right? With the revoking of their status unless these kids didn't transfer. And now this is insane. Imagine if you're a parent in China. You're paying all this money to send your super smart kid over here. And then you have the U.S. stating this, that they're going to begin revoking the visa of these kids. That would be scary. You expect the country that your kids are going to school in to protect your children, not to cause chaos and to put fear into them like this. The United States will aggressively revoke the visas of Chinese students studying in the country. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has announced as the administration President Donald J. Trump continues its crackdown on foreign students. New visa policies put America first, not China. Under President Trump's leadership, the U.S. State Department will work with the Department of Homeland Security to aggressively revoke visas for Chinese students, including those with connections to the Chinese Communist Party, should be the CPC, not CCP, or studying in critical fields. We'll also revise visa criteria to enhance scrutiny of all future visa applications from the People's Republic of China and Hong Kong. Now, understand they started doing this a while ago, where they enhanced the scrutiny, and even Canada followed suit because the previous U.S. administrations, presidential administrations, told Canada to do such, and so Canada started scrutinizing the visas a little more. So the brain drain already started, but now they're saying they're going to further enhance this, and they're going to aggressively deport. Like, what is going on here? How many times I got to say on this channel what Jensen Huang said and what everybody knows? These are the top AI researchers in the world. 50% of them are Chinese. These are the top students in the most important fields. We do not want them out of here. We want them here, contributing to our economy and making the U.S. better, right? Instead, we're saying, go home, go to China, go to Hong Kong. So China, this is a huge win for China and Hong Kong. Hong Kong, which has been opening its arms to students from all over the world now, saying, hey, if the U.S. doesn't want you, we'll take you. Why? Because you want as many smart people as you can get. I do not understand who this benefits. And I'm not saying that being naive. I have a lot of people in the comments, they'll say, having smart people doesn't benefit a fascist. But I can't imagine in this day and age, like I could understand that maybe back in the 40s. But in this day and age, when we have the three most important inventions in human history since fire and the wheel to be coming soon, fusion, AI, and quantum, I would think it would be in anybody's interest to have the smartest possible people to make sure that you are leading in that field. Absolutely. And when I say that stuff, I'm not exaggerating. If they live up to their potential, it's a possibility they might not. But if they do, you're talking on the equivalents of fire and the wheel. Probably bigger than the wheel, I'd say. Fire. Especially with quantum and fusion. AI also, maybe, if it reaches its true potential. All three of them at the maximum of their potential. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. As important as fire. Absolutely. Full potential. Sorry about the getting off track there, but yes. Okay. So this is why you want it. Who does this benefit? Who does this benefit? No one. Absolutely no one. It is the most ridiculous of policies. And now to tie this into something I said before, I caught a lot of heat in the comments for saying, for giving a little bit of credit to President Donald J. Trump for lifting the sanctions on Syria. And I want to be clear here on two things. I'm going to go to full screen here real quick. First of all, when I say that, understand I'm not giving a vote of confidence to whomever would be in charge of Syria. So by my saying I'm happy that Trump lifted the sanctions in Syria, that's not a vote of confidence for the new Syrian leader. It's not a vote of confidence for or against him. It has nothing to do with him. The new president of Syria, Ahmed al-Sharar. Okay? I say this because on this channel, I've been very consistent in saying that I am not for the weaponization of SWIFT. I am not for sanctions. Now, I'm not going to get derailed because I could talk about this forever. Real quick, I'll just say, sanctions hurt SWIFT. The only reason BRICS exist is because the United States started weaponizing SWIFT. SWIFT has been extremely beneficial to America. It's the reason we are the default currency of the world. If you don't know what it is, it's basically a banking system where anyone in the world, in smaller countries, it creates a market for their currency, and they can trade into dollars and do trade with anyone from another part of the world, and they trade into dollars. And that's good for us. And a lot of times they take those dollars and they buy our bonds. They buy our debt. Been extremely beneficial to America as a consumption country. So why would we want people to leave that system? You absolutely don't. But by weaponizing it, you're forcing people to leave it. Because why are these people going to want to be in it when you're using it to sanction governments? And then you get crazy. You're like, oh, you know what we can do? We can sanction companies. And then you even get crazier and you say, oh, you know what we can do? We can sanction billionaires. So I'm going to catch heat for this, but that's not the right thing to do. Sorry, Ukrainians. This is not for or against anything going on over there. But sanctioning individuals in Russia? What does that say to any individual that has their money in the SWIFT system? It puts a vote of no confidence into it. Right? And you might say, well, they're billionaires. Who cares about them? You're missing the point of what I'm trying to say. If you have a system like this and you go out and you're saying, we want everybody on it because it's to our benefit that everybody is on it. You can't turn around and start punishing people. You can't start playing cop with it. I'm going to leave it at that. Okay? So no matter who would have lifted those sanctions, I would have been for it. Biden, Clinton, Romney, he never was president, but if he was president, Bush, whoever. Okay? Because I don't believe in the sanctioning. I don't believe in the U.S. playing world police with this. Okay? I'm going to leave it there. The next thing, when I say Trump is misguided, I wasn't saying it to invoke sympathy, like he's a sympathetic figure. It's probably the wrong term to use. What I literally mean to say there is he's misguided because he doesn't have any thoughts of his own. I don't think people understand that Trump isn't like you and me. The guy didn't know what groceries were because he's never went out and shop for groceries in his life. There's this funny comedy I watched where like this lady who's detached from reality, she grew up super rich like Trump. She's joking around. She's like, what's the cost of a banana? $9? Like just saying, oh, that's not a lot of money, a $9 banana. And this was like 20 years ago. It's funny because it's showing that. And that reminds me of Trump. Trump doesn't know what a banana costs. He doesn't know what eggs cost. He doesn't know what milk costs. He didn't even know what groceries in general were. Okay? And so he gets this information from people. Other people are guiding him. He doesn't have any opinions on his own. He doesn't know about healthcare. You think he's ever paid a premium? You think he's ever shopped for plans? You think he's ever paid a doctor bill? Absolutely not. Okay? So he's guided on this. And I'm going to give you a demonstration of why I say he's misguided, but I'm not going to use that term anymore because it does invoke sympathy. It makes him sound like a sympathetic figure, which is what I'm not trying to do. But here is Trump 9 long years ago when he was the president-elect, did an interview on Breitbart. Steve Bannon suggests there are too many Asian CEOs in Silicon Valley, but president-elect at the time, Donald Trump, says he wants them to stay because we have to keep our talented people. Steve Bannon, he expressed dismay at the number of tech executives who are immigrants from Asia. Okay, let's go down to the actual words. We're not going to talk about this because this was his thing against Mexican immigrants, low-cost labor. He said they're taking American jobs. No, they weren't. But that's something else. Here Trump says, but people who are capable of making lots of money and building big businesses should stay, the New York businessman stressed. When someone's going to Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Penn, Stanford, all the greats, and then they graduate, we throw them out of the country and they can't get back in, Trump said. I think that's terrible, added Trump, who was a regular guest on the show. We have to be careful of that, Steve. We have to keep our talented people in this country. So understand back then this would happen. Their visas would run out or something. So there's a little bit of talk like this. It was nothing like it is today. Absolutely nothing. after 2019, when stuff started getting weird with China under Trump's first export controls and such to Huawei and against Xiaomi, they started scrutinizing Chinese visas anymore. This got a lot worse. But back then, he's talking about it here, okay? And it wasn't even close to the levels it's at now. And now you see how he's flipped the script? Well, why did he flip the script? Well, probably somebody told him this because he doesn't know about this. He doesn't know anything about Ivy League students. But what he's saying here, this is actually just kind of common sense. You have super smart people. They're creating businesses. They're adding to the economy. That's a good thing. We want those people. Makes a lot of sense. Trump asked Bannon if he agreed with them, but the Breitbart executive chairman seemed to have trouble responding to the suggestion. When 2/3 or 3/4 of CEOs in Silicon Valley are from South Asia or from Asia, I think a country is more than an economy. We're a civic society. So now that's incorrect, as they're saying here. They represent less than 19% of managers, under 14% of executives. But it doesn't matter. Bannon's point is he thinks there's too many Asians in these roles. Okay? Trump told Bannon again that he wanted people to come into the country. You got to remember, and this is Bannon replies, you got to remember we're Breitbart. We're the know-nothing vulgarians, so we always got to be ready to view on this. Okay? So this is what I'm talking about. He has misguidance. Again, I'm not going to use that term anymore, misguided. But that's what I meant, is he went from having this one opinion, which I think was a good opinion. I think it is an accurate opinion. I think it's the correct opinion. And it probably wasn't even his opinion. He probably just had some smart people around him back then. Remember in his first administration, he actually had some somewhat normal people in his team. Like Bannon was the crazy back then. Now they're all crazies. The only normal person he has is Scott Basin. Everybody else is nuts. But in his first term, he actually had some normies. He fired them right away. He didn't like the normal talk, them telling him. But he probably got this from them. And it probably made sense to him because it makes sense to anybody. But then he gets misguided. Bannon comes in and is like, well, we don't want those people here. For whatever reason. Probably for the reason what people write in my comments. They're calling it Christo-fascism or something like that. But even to me, that doesn't make sense. You still want smart people. So anyways, that's what I mean. That's what I mean by that. So now Trump has completely flipped the script on this. Why? Well, because the people around him guided him to this conclusion. Just like if you put, and I'm telling you, I believe this 100%, if you put universal health care people around Donald Trump, it'll never happen because those people don't have access to him. But if you could get them around him, he would introduce universal health care into America. Absolutely. Because he doesn't care about it either way. He has no opinion. He knows nothing really about it. All you have to say is Donald Trump, President Donald J. Trump, this is going to be the biggest, bestest, greatest, hugest bill ever. You'll be the biggest, bestest, greatest, hugest president ever. That's it. I'm signing it. Boom. Done. But it's not going to happen because of the people around him who are guiding him. That's what I got for you today. Unfortunately, we're taking 2 steps. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. You can actually say 3 or 4 steps. So we'll have to see what happens as we move forward on this. If you are overseas, if you're in India and China send the 2 biggest groups of foreign exchange students in America. If you're in India, you have to be worried also. When are your students going to be targeted next? You were targeted under the Harvard, but when are you going to get targeted like this? If you're from anywhere, it's just a matter of time. That's what I got for you. If you like this type of content, please hit like and subscribe down below. All of you, leave comments. As you know, I'm into comments. Sometimes I get a little crazy in there. And if you can spare, the price of a cup of coffee, think about joining and becoming a member. Thank you very much. Have a great night.